Is there anyone like to involve themselves in public comment at this time? If not, that's closed now. The minutes for June 19th.
Motion approved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Finance report's in your packet for your review. It's, just 1 month, so I don't really have anything to say about it. I will have the fund balance report ready for you at the county commission meeting. It'll be on your desk. It's not in your packet. Moving on to the budget amendment request. The first one, if you'll bear with me for 1 second, I'm going to change that line from 39,124 to 39,147.
39,147.
39,147.
Now, we were told, I think, that animal control was 148.
Yeah, hang on, it was,
Well,
it's,
I set it up in the chart of accounts as 147.
You my man, I'm just.
Yeah.
Whatever you say. You be my horse, you don't ever run right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, so I just literally set it up in the chart of accounts before we came here, so it's, yeah, it's 147, but it is the Gretchen Wilson Animal Control.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Likewise, I'm sorry it's not in your packet, there's a $1,200 spay and neuter grant that Animal Control was awarded. You just need to approve, there's no match or anything to it, I don't believe, is that right, Linda?
Motion approved.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the $1,200 grant for animal control. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Archives, to be clear here, apparently archives have not been being charged for their internet service. Of course, that was discovered by the company that provides it, and they would now like to be paid. So they will need some money in their budget.
Question,
Yes.
what happened?
I cannot answer that question, sir. I don't know what happened or why, I just know that it did happen.
Have a motion and a second to approve $1,000 for archives. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
The next one is, good question, 2020 federal census figures, attendance to percentage of population that we pay for. Oh, okay, this is, I'm sorry, I remember, this is JCDB's budget went up, and in the budget, I forgot to increase their allocation in the budget, so this is to increase JCDB's budget. This, they took on Wilson Works in addition to, it is, we pay him based on population.
Motion approved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I've got one question, but I'll have to find it. It showed how that was figured. Was that on the last census?
It was in 2020.
And it's divided amongst the cities and the county.
Correct.
But it shows that the county, the population was 147,000 something.
That's right.
Yeah, but it's showing the county portion being for 147,000.
That's the way it's always been figured. That is a
Well, I
formula,
mean, to me, that's the city's paying and we're paying.
that was a formula that was agreed on in the interlocal agreement that all the government signed when they entered into.
I mean, that's the way it is, that's the way it is. But you see what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah. And I only know that from having done that audit for several years.
So they're double dipping?
Exactly.
I mean, I guess we agreed to it, but
Guys, we've been doing this since 1987. It was set up that way. You take the total county population back out to 3 cities and then add back into the total county. Major counties paying more, but everybody is a member of the county. Everybody lives in the county. Everybody doesn't live in Mount View, doesn't or Washington. That's the way it's set up that way.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
The next one for the American Rescue Plan This is money that you've already appropriated in previous years. I just forgot to include that in the appropriations resolution that you voted on. So what you're looking at is your water projects, your broadband projects, your radio project for emergency communication systems, the HVAC system for this building. This is all stuff that you've approved in the past, but it was not included in the budget document.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
This is also something I missed. This is $550,000 that we had set aside to pay for architect fees. I think this was for, part of it was for judicial center. I think we took part of it from, yeah, yeah, correct, correct.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sure.
This is already something that.
Yes. Yes, sir. Let's see, the next one is when we allocate money to the library, whatever they don't spend still belongs to them. We have a maintenance of effort thing with the library, just like with everybody else. So this is unspent proceeds from the various budgets that they have that we now need to turn over to them, but we have to appropriate the money first. So that's what this does.
Motion to approve.
How does it determine who gets what?
It is based on how they do their budget with us. This past year, they budgeted the money that we give them was completely run through us. So when they ordered supplies, any and everything they ordered came to us. We take care of their payroll. This was the money that was left over from each one of those budgets.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So there was $55,000 left from that year's budget from last year, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. There was a big, one big thing, they had $45,000 for probably some repair or maintenance type improvement projects, but they didn't wind up spending it last year. The next one's for PEG. The first three little items are just little adjustments that needed to be made that were actually in her needs list that we missed. The $15,000 is a miskey for replacement equipment for PEG.
I thought we did this before. Did we not hear this before?
I think this came through with the budget, I believe.
It went through
Yes.
needs, yes.
Yeah, went through needs, just didn't get keyed in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sandy's here, if you have any questions. She's asking for $85,000 for a modular building to replace her office out at the landfill that's in pretty rough shape.
Motion approved.
Coming out of her fund balance.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next one is related to a grant from Firehouse Subs. Joey's here, he can answer any questions. QuantiFit 2 fit rest machine and accessories, he can tell you exactly what that is. I can't.
Motion approved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next one moves, I think what we're referring to as the death investigator out of the medical examiner's office under WEMA. Your medical examiner will still be a contracted employee and will still stay under the medical examiner's budget, but the person who actually does the vast majority of the investigations will be employed by WEMA.
No additional cost, right?
No additional cost.
Motion approved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions? Comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next one is to record the correct amounts for the Homeland Security grant, which just came through after the budget was passed for the upcoming fiscal year 24.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
There's your copy of your animal control grant next. Sorry about that.
We've already done that.
You've already done that. Let's see, I think at this point, well, after this, we'll do this first. So, Jim Brown is entering into a 60-month lease agreement for a copy machine. Does that need your approval now? That is this. It's behind that.
I'll wait.
Is there a van?
Actually doesn't have to be bid on this. It's, there's several purchasing cooperatives in addition to state contract.
Okay, there was a motion and a second.
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And this one, I'll turn it over to Lance if you want to cover it.
That's
Axon first.
Like a lot of you were in here during the law enforcement, for the ones that wasn't, like the mayor, maybe the mayor wasn't here. So this is the Axon body cams. This is not a grant, this is a 5-year binding agreement. First year can be paid for out of the drug fund, $79,000. The subsequent years, pretty sure the sheriff want to request it to come out of the general fund. And, but the binding agreement is a 5-year, $79,000 per year. Something we've not stepped off into body cams, so we're going to the body cams, and you knew we had trouble with our other system. We got it limping along as far as the in-car, but this would eventually, with some additions after the fact, replace the entire system. So the binding agreement, it is a Sourcewell contract, so it doesn't require a bid. And we have Sourcewell documents, if anybody needs to see it. We're asking for approval. It did pass law enforcement committee unanimously.
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, what are we approving?
Well, so basically, this is a 5-year agreement, and Lance, please correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a 5-year agreement that the first year's being paid for from the drug fund, Fund 122, and thereafter, we anticipate it will be paid for by the general fund. So, I mean, you're really approving a 5-year agreement. It's not all gonna come out of the same fund, but what you're really approving here is a 5-year.
$320,000 out of general fund for 4 years.
Yeah, I'm good with that. We need it. I mean, it's something that, I mean, we need that, so. Our dash cams are obsolete pretty much, just about.
They are, yes, sir.
Yeah, so I think it's best that we do this in Canada, so I think we agree with that. Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. My only question is that we're assuming it's going to be paid out of the general budget.
It's possible, when I talked to the chief deputy a little bit before we came in here, it's possible that they might have enough money next year to pay for it out of the drug fund as well. But I think that's as far as the drug fund could possibly carry. So at some point, it will revert back to it.
Could we not, because we're not supposed to approve
Right.
how we're paying for something that far in advance.
Well,
Don't we have to do this every year?
yeah, you do have to do it every year. So what we would do would be to put the annual cost. This year it'll be Fund 122. Next year we'll have to put it in the budget through the needs process or otherwise. We'll have to put it in the budget in 101 most likely. But you can't escape the fact that basically you're signing a 5-year agreement. I know we're going to put that little sentence is in here that says it's pending. The legislative body actually appropriating funding. That doesn't mean they're going to walk away and forgive you if you don't pay it.
We're obligated county
Yeah.
to cost us.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I will get a budget amendment prepared for the part that's coming out of 122.
It's already in there.
I just didn't have it in here.
It was budgeted
In the budget.
in the budget, so the money's there.
Okay, it
For
did.
this
I
year.
don't have to bring the budget back.
You may
That's
do
good,
this-
we're gonna have plenty.
Yeah,
do these grants.
but you do have a couple others.
First one is a law enforcement committee approved a $200,000 acceptance of a tuition grant, tuition assistance from Toledo through Department of Commerce and Insurance. It's a 5-year grant, $40,000 each year. Basically, any new cadet that goes through the academy and he stays on with the department will be eligible for a, I guess, an incentive coming back to the deputy above and beyond the normal $800 salary supplement for his continued in-service training. So we anticipated up to $40,000 per year, and so this is a grant that we can pay for by the state, and then once they send the money, then we pay the deputy. So we're asking you not only to accept the $200,000 grant, but then secondly, if you want a second motion or you want to put it together, but to do a line item transfer, and I do have sheets. So I don't think y'all have those.
No, we don't.
What did you call this grant, Lance?
The grant's called a tuition assistance grant, but that's what the grant's called. Actually, the mayor's already saw this grant, he's already signed the contract. No funds have been expended yet.
Is there a motion to approve the grant?
Question, there's no match, right? For us?
100%.
Yeah.
Have a motion and a second to approve the grant. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now I need a motion to approve the $40,000 transfer.
So moved.
We do have a motion and a second for that, to approve. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The next one is a $355,000 grant, 100% reimbursement grant from the Department of Health. It is for jail PPE and equipment, and we've already submitted it, been awarded it. No money's been spent. The mayor's already signed the contract. It'll be for PPE, inmate supplies, 2 new washer and dryers to replace the old ones in the old jail, transport vans, and the Guardian Watch system, which is the watch system that we check on the inmates and keep up with all their movements. Most of that's going to have to be bid, so we don't have any line item transfer tonight, and we're asking you to approve the $355,000 grant. And we'll come back at another committee meeting once we have all of the bids and ask for the line item transfers. And it is reimbursement, it is 100% grant, and it was approved unanimously by the law enforcement committee.
So I need a motion to approve the grant.
No match, so moved.
No match, 100%.
Yeah, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
There is no budget amendment on that at the present time. That'll be coming later.
This last thing is proof surplus. If you want to pass them around, I think I've got enough for everybody. These are 5 admin vehicles. They were admin detective. You see the years, makes, and mileage. We're asking that you approve them for surplus to be sold on gov deals.
So moved.
Man, what happened to the Chevy?
Always heard.
Who was driving that one? Never mind. Do we have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve surplus. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This just,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I assume it's,
It's going down unanimous, so
Okay.
somebody says,
speak up, Joe.
This just demonstrates the silliness of some of the accounting standards. This is a 48-month lease for a postage machine at a whopping cost of $36.45 a month. I need you to approve that.
Motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve this lease.
is this for veterans out?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
A little bit better.
I didn't keep up very well. Who made the motion second?
At the end,
I Tommy?
Y'all did?
Yeah, Tommy.
Diane was.
Or no, I'm sorry, Diane, Tommy.
They just step all over me.
So now,
You don't have them all.
I'm with
I'll let Joey talk about the Brad Goodman Solutions Agreement, whatever else he's got in here.
Okay. This is a, IOPS 360. It's basically a scheduling program for the commanders when they do staffing. We currently have a program going through ESO, that costs about $14,000. So this program would do a little bit more for less money, and they have come and, pretty much guaranteed everything. It renews each year, and this program costs $8,900 versus the 14. So we're requesting to go into contract with them instead of the other company.
so moved.
Second.
General, it'll come right out of his budget. He doesn't even need money for it.
There was a motion, is there a second?
Diane.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
The firehouse sub grant you approved earlier in the budget amendment, but this is actually a copy of it. And Lexipol is a grant finder system. Joey, I don't know if you want to talk about it or not.
Yeah, it's a EMS grant finder, costs us $750 a year, which I have in my budget. We're just asking for permission to contract with them on researching for grants.
Motion approved. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve, what, $750 grant? Any questions? All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
At the instruction of the auditors, if you look back on the third page, they mentioned in the discussion item here that there were 4 negative accounts totaling $153.75 with the Chancery Court. They are only required to notify you that they are cleaning those up and how they're cleaning them up. I will actually be reading this into the minutes, I believe, is what I'm required to do. But it's $153.75 that they're cleaning up. Yeah.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor say aye.
Surplus items from the finance office. The laptop you guys would have already, I think it's surplus, but it's on here. It's surplus to destroy. Everything else we will sell on gov deals or at auction.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve surplus list. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And Miss Lisa?
First section is our restricted accounts. This was money that was given as donations last year and unspent, so we're bringing it back this year. Revenue and actual expenditure that we're going against. The second item is we're moving from designated fund balance $2,800,000 for town high school tennis courts and safety courts.
So
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve school budget amendment. Any questions or concerns? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, Mayor, do you have anything you'd like to bring up?
we got Ashley for the bond issuance. But the mayor might want to talk about it first, I don't know.
And I think you've already given an education of where it's at as far as the school funding. But had 3 bids that came in for the school. Robert Biscoe was the one that got the bid at 52,237. The funds for that, Mr. Maynard and Mr. Ashley McIntyre, thank you for being here with the Block Council, is here. There is enough funds there to cover that. This is with both alternates, and if you remember back a while ago, we sent you a plan with an estimate on that. I reread that today, where we thought going in, the size of the school was going to be about 115,000 square feet. I said it to you, $375 a square foot, which estimated cost of $43,125,000, and that was for 1,000 students. What we ended up getting was the base bid was $50,168,000 with 2 alternates, added 4 extra classrooms, one for upper grade, one for lower grade, and so instead of $375 a square foot, it came in at $409. I do have some comparisons with surrounding schools that I can give you if you want me to give those to you. But with the FF&E, I've got figures coming back to $58,505,400. So I talked to Ashley to have him have the resolution ready for you tonight to look at. So we have those and have copies of those if you need those. I think he made that at $58,600,000 not to exceed that. Since that time, you've cut a little bit. You want to tell him?
I did, we just went in the needed breakdown additional, estimated, and really made the cut on miscellaneous. We think we're good with what we put in there. When we looked, I felt like it was good permits and all that covered, it continues to need to be already, so there's no sense of adding on anymore. And we were able to cut approximately, what was it, 1.8 or something off of that, to get it down, and we feel comfortable with what we're requesting. So waiting on education, we feel good about it.
Okay. So with those cut, that goes from $58,505,000 down to $56,317,000. The resolution line has not to exceed $58,600,000, but they'll only borrow the money that's needed in this. And this does cover everything. Everything is in this, the furniture, fixtures, equipment, all that's there. The design, if you remember, an architect fee was paid for by the school system up front. And the land has already been paid for with the last bond that you guys issued. So instead of me going into a lot of details, what questions do you have for me, or do you have any for Aaron or Ashley? Mr. Morris is back here, the architect as well. Thank you for being here tonight.
What's the time frame?
So the time frame on this right now would be that if you guys approve this this bid tonight, and we'll get it back sometime in January. I mean, we will start construction now.
They would be able to start in September, and right now we're probably looking at, we've told them June 15th, 2025. Right. So it used to an elementary school would take 11 to 12 months, but with materials taking so long, it's taken 8 to 9 months for HVAC units. Electrical units are taking one year to 14 to 16 months. So those things have strung it out a little bit. They'll obviously go at it as quick as they can, and if they can finish up sooner, they'll do it. But that's the plan is for the 2025 school year.
So August of 2025.
Just out of curiosity, is this a school that's flat, or is it going to be like the middle school?
The roof,
Yeah.
part of it's got a mixture. Part of it has a slope roof, and part of it has a low slope roof.
Just curious.
Same design here will be used at Central Pike of that elementary school as well, to save them some design money next time we go do that.
Motion to approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or concerns? All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Let me add just a couple of things, because this is always on, when I got everybody here together. The next, we're always talking about schools that need to be built, and the next, of course, land you've already got purchased for at Central Pike. And so we will work towards that. We've already been in conversation about how do we get there when the time is right to do that, whatever that time is. We always try to do it so that you don't have to raise taxes if possible. But we will gear that one back around the next time around a budget season, so if you have to, you'll be able to do that. But we'll push as far as we can with that time. We will, also, we have capacity in there right now. We don't have enough to cover another one. Depending on what FEMA money comes back, that will help that. Again, people, the next question you'll say, well, what about this court system you're gonna bring to us here in a little bit? Remember, that's two different pots of money. The money we're getting the elementary school out of is a special purpose school tax fund, which is money that's already been shared with Lebanon Special, so you borrow dollar for dollar for that one. So we try to stay with that particular fee for that. Courtroom money will come out of the general purpose fund, which we are in good shape there as of right now. And don't foresee any real, anything else to build. Hopefully, we built a jail and several other things, so we're in pretty decent shape there, but we're in decent shape on that side too. But that's the things that we have coming down the pike. A middle school and a high school is on down the road. They're not that close, and I know they are working also on capacity numbers. So we'll have those to look at too as we start venturing that next school at the Central Park. All that, anything out that we talked about? Mike? Okay.
We have on the 21st, we have a 6 o'clock meeting, right?
And I did that for a reason so that all of you could come if you wanted to. I'm not asking you to tell me where you think courtrooms ought to be, because the judges and the clerks have already done all that. But I don't want to start those people drawing it without you seeing it. You've already paid for the design work, so I just would love for everybody to see it. And we tacked it on that 6 o'clock meeting, hated to do that, but we thought there'd be a chance that the 3 committees would come and look at that and ask any questions they wanted to. Within the full commission could come, and, because they got to be here anyway. And as many of you could see it, would be able to see it. It's a good looking building, and very happy with what the judges and the clerks have done and spent the time that they have. So really, it's all about, we wanted to show you the process we went through. And our judges will be here so that you can hear them, that they have all agreed that what we're doing is what they wanted. That was an argument we had from the last time that we did this.
Okay, are the judges going to provide supper that night?
I bet they're providing breakfast, I know here in a couple of Saturdays. I think I probably count that on Friday.
What?
September 1st. On Friday.
2024.
And that's only if we like the design.
I just want to make sure that, all right, and I'm going to say this because I know that we're getting hammered. Our county's growing really quickly. So if anything that you guys can do to speed up the process would be really appreciated. Seriously.
Okay, any other comments from the committee?
I've got a question for 2 or 3 folks that may not be able to give me an answer. Mr. McNulty's here, I'd certainly want him to be, on this question. Is the county's debt capacity outpacing our growth? And I know that's a hard question to answer, and you might not be able to give an answer at this minute. I know Mr. Luttrell, Aaron, they could be involved maybe in that answer. I think you know why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and quite frankly, you all are growing fast like a lot of counties in Middle Tennessee. This is where all the growth is, largely in the southeast, is in Middle Tennessee. But you all are doing a good job of staying ahead of the growth. So many times you get to where you don't have the capacity, but you have the people moving in, and then all of a sudden you're growing 1,000 students a year, and you've got a high school to be built every year. I've seen that with a lot of counties that we deal with, but you all have some capacity. You're a AA plus rated county. Despite all of the things that you've taken care of over the last 10 years, you all have maintained a really strong bond rating. You're one step from the highest level, so you're in the top, say, 10% in the state. There's only 3 AAA rated counties, and I know Mayor Hutto, it's always top of mind. How can we get to that AAA level? So we're constantly working towards that. But you all are doing a good job. You've got the capacity to take care of this elementary school. You've got the capacity to take care of your Justice Center, and then you're in good shape going forward. I'm not sure you could digest a new school within the next year or so, but depending on how much growth in sales tax revenue and property taxes support county and debt service funds that you have available, but y'all are doing a really good job. And I can't say that about every county. So many are trying to play catch up, but you're not. You're actually staying ahead of it.
If I could add to that. So I figured this question would come. So I just kind of wanted to give you an overall view of what the bond rating would be one thing. And we talked about, some people say, well, or you guys got 30 million in fund balance, that's a lot of money to be sitting back in a savings account. At Williamson County, they have 88 million in theirs. Rutherford has 87 million in theirs. Montgomery has 48. Hamilton, of course, has 144 million. 47 million for Sumner County. So if we can bump that up, that helps us get to that AAA level to have that. Now, we have as much as anybody in the general fund balance debt service side. In other words, money that we've got back, that if we didn't bring any money in, how much money would we have to make our payments that are sitting back in cash? Well, that kind of goes with your, and what I've noticed here, they're kind of a swap here, but we got 41 million sitting back to pay for any debt payments that we don't bring any money in. I think another interesting fact that came, and these came from the audits. If you go from the property assessment, probably is growing from property assessment from 2018 to 2022. We're the #1 county in percent of growth at 48%. From going from the amount of changes over $2 billion in property values growth here. So that is, that's a pretty big deal for our county to be where we're at there. Debt-wise, you say, well, how much we're in debt? I've heard some say, well, you're $500,000 in debt. We're not $500,000 yet. We'll probably get there. What's Williamson County? They're almost $1 billion in debt. So we rank. So this comparison here ranks. So where is our debt compared to everybody else in the state of Tennessee? And I think the other thing, and Mr. Mayor may add to this, when we go to say, can you handle that debt payment? Can you handle that house note? He figures on, and I think my numbers are right here, 7.5 million as far as dollars for facility tax. We've been bringing in for the last 3 years, 16, 14, and 12. It's gone down a lot, but so we're only counting on 7.5 out of that 12 million we got. And then sales tax, he figures a 2.5% growth, and we've been kicking snot out of that for quite some time, but that's extra, that's surplus that's there. And when he said, hey, look, I don't think we maybe, be tough to build a school the next 2 years, he said that, don't take away that means we can't build one. You can raise taxes to build one. And that's what that would mean. That just means we can't build one on the money we got sitting in the account.
Well, that was my original question, is the growth outpacing our debt capacity? And I'm sort of getting an answer, and it's a hard answer to come to understand.
I think the best way to answer that question.
Let me go a little further back, and I hate to put Jeff on the spot. But at what rate are you looking to start that elementary school on Central Park?
Well, I think we gotta get our numbers, get our capacity numbers. There is some room. Of course, Stoner Creek's almost filled up. We added on there, and we're filling up there. There should be some room in here, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna shift the zone to West Elementary. And so that's gonna open up space at West Elementary. So I can see 400 or 500 seats sitting right there available right there because of the west move. And to be smart, unless we have to, we shouldn't fill up that new building. We should have some space available. That's why we're going with alternates. Till we start getting these enrollment numbers locked down for 20-day, that's hard for me to answer.
I understand, it's a tough question.
But I will look at, we've been averaging my 2 years, 600-700 new students a year. Right now, we're only at 237. So are we going to see a trend down? I've been in it long enough to think we could see a little trend down right now this year. And if we do, that just helps us. As for your middle school, West Wilson Middle will have more space. That's going to open up space at Mountain Middle. And then that's going to open a lot of space at Green Hill. It's going to prevent, I think, a high school. And I'm willing to work with this county. We will make it work. If that's what we need to do to push off a few months, if that's what we need to do, fine. I think that's a smart thing to do. I don't like the portables. I don't think you like the portables. But I will tell you this, I think that could have to be part of the plan regardless of what you do. Just if we talk about 2 or 3 years to build. And I'm just laying that out there. I don't like them, but there's nowhere at this kind of rate of growth, you'd have to be way, way ahead.
Right.
to not have to be
Well, that
able to do
goes
some
back to my question, so sooner is much better than later, of course.
For sure.
But then you've got the middle school and the gardens to address.
you could have a middle school in Mount Juliet. I mean,
Well-
it's all, I mean, this thing is, it's fluid literally month by month as we see people move in.
But there's a middle school in the future,
Absolutely.
so.
I feel like there's a middle school in the but when I say future, I think probably 5 or 6 years, you know, folks, we're renovating Mount Juliet Middle, and we're literally, we've got probably 1,600 kids in there right now. So when we get our new building, that's gonna open up space there. And so I think that's the approach you gotta take. But yes,
And then there's an elementary school that needs to be modeled that a $15 million number was thrown out about during budget time. Correct?
needs to be what?
Elementary school.
Lakeview.
Lakeview.
Yeah.
And we do, I want to throw this out there, you don't get much attention. We do have an issue at Watertown Middle School that needs to be addressed.
But to go back to your point, if you think of the schools this commission has built in the past little bit, and you built several schools, and you've lived within your budget. I mean, you've only taxed the people out there twice out of 15 times. You're gonna like me saying that, but I mean, we've tried to live within what we got. And, you know, and then we added, Stoner Creek added 400 seats, I think. West Wilson, we added some, fixing to build another school. So, you know, a lot of times we just kind of think, I don't want to think the sky's falling. We'll get there. We always have. And I mean, and we have for several years now. So I think you just, you know,
Well, I think
they've
Mr.
always been good to
McNally's
buy it
done
off.
well, that we've been managed well in the past, but I'm worried about the growth exceeding what we're able to do in the future. And how we pay for that, or how we control growth, that's what my question is leading to.
So I'll answer you the best I can on that too.
Well, I know it's a hard question.
I need, you need the growth. Because the growth is what's kept you from raising people's taxes. When you talk to my counterparts and mayors that don't have anybody moving in, they've gone over and raised everybody else's taxes because they have nowhere else to get revenue. So that balance is what you look for. So you don't want to mess with growth a whole lot.
Well, I
Because
mean,
that's how you live.
The more people come, the more schools you're gonna build.
It does, but it's the balance that's kept you from taxing people as well over the past, at least as long as I've been here. Because when those numbers that we counted on, if you do anything, or the interest rates raise up or whatever to attack that and start knocking those off, then you don't have any choice but go back and then get it from the people. I mean, it's on, so I guess I like our model that we have, and I'd love to keep juggling it and moving along with it like it is, and not mess it up if we can keep from it.
And don't we have some school projects in the future rolling off that will help?
Oh, we can,
And
27, 28.
refinancing, yeah.
Well, that
There's a
is-
number of
that
things that I haven't.
Goes back to my
factored into.
original question about our debt capacity.
Yeah,
I guess
there's
the
no
two
way to
things,
anticipate.
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, there's no way to anticipate those refinancing, because if interest rates stay high, they may not materialize, but if they go down some, then we certainly would be bringing those in. We had one refinancing a couple of years ago that saved the county $6 million or more, and so we watch for those, and we certainly bring them when they make sense for the county to do. But I also want you all to know that I try to be conservative. I work with Aaron, the mayor, and you all as well, but try to be conservative in that if you had a tornado like you did a couple of years ago, you didn't miss a beat in terms of financially. Your bond rating stayed the same, didn't go down. So we try to position you to weather those storms, but also be prepared for the growth as much as you can. So I hope that helps give you some
Good, that's a
insight
good
on it.
direction.
The one thing to look at, just 2 cents, real quick. You know, the comptroller's office sent out a report to us, which I'll be happy to send to y'all, that one of the things that it keyed in on was debt, ratio of debt to appraised value of the property. And we were favorable in that capacity to appraised value of the property. They saw no concern there. The second thing that I'll say there is, it's over here. No concern.
That is a good tool right there.
Yeah.
And and it makes our county more stable and
Yeah.
things like that.
The second thing is, this is really not the question that you're asking, but it's the best way that I know to address it. You know, when we get to the situation where we've got a 450 bed facility for a jail and we start housing 500 plus inmates regularly, we know we have to build another jail whether we want to or not, whether we have the capacity to or not. I mean, the Department of Justice is not going to allow us to continue to cram 500, 550, 600 inmates into a jail with 450 beds. We've got a similar situation with education. I would love nothing better than not have to build another school for 5 years, and Jeff would probably like that too. I would love nothing better than not to have to build another school for 5 years. It's just, I feel well that we have managed things well enough with Ashley's help, the mayor's help, and we've managed things well enough that we do have the capacity. Will that capacity eventually run out? Well, I mean, we've always stretched it as far as we can go, and a lot of times when you stretch it out, something, you know, we gain extra revenue over and above what we projected, and we find that we're able to do it with either a minimal or no tax increase. I think for Watertown High School, 3 cents.
And
Watertown.
that was really, and I get criticized for that because,
Yeah.
again, that was really because we moved some money out of the insurance fund.
Yeah.
That's really why that happened, otherwise we'd have to raise that one on that.
Correct. So, I mean, again, it's always, it's like anything. I mean, I think I've been consistent on the message that I don't think it's realistic to say that under no circumstances ever would we ever have to raise taxes. And I know that's what everybody wants to say and everybody wants to avoid. But, I mean, at the end of the day, we are well managed according to every measure that's out there. We're doing, you know, we've accomplished a heck of a lot in 10 years, and, you know, I don't know exactly how to answer your question, Tommy, in terms of, you know, is growth, you know, outpacing our capacity? It's certainly taxing it, let's put it that way. Yeah, it's certainly taxing it, but again, I understand where the mayor's coming from too. The worst thing you can have is not population growth, the worst thing you can have is population decline. Because you can imagine if you're sitting here on all this debt and all of a sudden everybody leaves, you know, so, no, it's not happening.
Most certainly send no indication.
Yeah.
Well, I say, the two things that concern me is, and you brought it up already, is that somebody did, Lakeview Elementary School and Watertown Middle. Is that a priority over a Central Pike Elementary School?
Your numbers are gonna drive that. I can't answer that yet.
I mean, but
you know, we get-
those two schools, they've been put on the back burner for a long time. I mean, especially Lakeview. I mean, Watertown, it's a,
Let's just be honest, Lakeview needs it.
yeah.
You know that.
But I guess the other thing is, this new school that we're building is gonna open in 25. And there's nothing else in the county that could take some of West's students. So you've put how many portables out there so far?
5, 10 classrooms.
And you'll put some more out there next year, probably.
I'm hoping I'm gonna have 6. Because we did the rezone this year that opened up even a little space there. And that's the hard decisions, and that's where we've all got to work together and support. And understand when we make some of these tough decisions about making zones and moving kids, that's got to be part of it too, to be responsible for what we have. You know, that south side, we added 100 kids there, and that was hard on some people. But that's the right thing to do when you have a building sitting there that could handle 150, 200. We need to fill up those schools. And that takes the support of the whole county. And I've been through that a little bit where I don't mind being the bad guy, but at some point we all get on the same page and everybody speak the same language, and because it's hard when you ask a family to move.
Sure it is.
But it's the right thing to do when they're sitting there, there's 150 spots that are available that prevents us from having to make a move here.
And the hardest thing that came with this one is a lot of times we've rezoned people from time to time throughout the history over the past years, and that's because we had a new school. So we
That's
moved
right.
here. This is the first time you ever did that where you went moving somebody to a new school. So But as you said, as we look at the back capacity and say, if I got empty classrooms here and I just build a new school because I want to move them, no, you do the hard thing, and y'all did the hard thing. Yeah. If you got a new school, it don't cause as much controversy, but if y'all have a new school, it probably will settle.
Okay. Is there anything else somebody'd like to bring up?
I know where you're going, I know why you asked that, so I think that we
Come on,
both.
man, just look at-
No, I think that we
Do we
address
want to
that.
be proactive or
Correct.
reactive?
Right,
I mean, that's
right.
why I asked the question.
Yeah.
I don't have
And I'm with you on
anything
that.
necessarily on that.
I'm with you on that. I mean, we have to address that elephant in the room. I mean, we all know, you know, at some point in time, Aaron can even say that, and, you know, we're going through something, so.
Is there another motion on the table? Will someone put one on the table?
Motion adjourned.